Hey, welcome into a live Locked On Lions squad show. Jake Riepma with you, formerly of 97 The Ticket, now with Locked On Detroit. Fired up for another Locked On squad show because Natalie Kerwin is here.
Natalie Kerwin here with FanDuel Sports Network. I got a trivia question for you guys that I'm going to throw at you in the show about Jared Goff based off of last week's performance. I'm not going to spoil it now, but we're going to get to it. Bradford Banta, what say you?
Bradford Banta, 22-year NFL veteran. Hey, Arrowhead may be loud, but grit's louder. Can't wait to talk about how the Lions plan to silence the Chiefs' kingdom.
One pride. It's the Lions Squad. Everything Detroit Lions every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Motor City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the roar of the Lions to the next great chapter, the Lions Squad Show starts now.
And here we go. Welcome one, welcome all. It's the Locked On Lions squad show. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta. What a show we have lined up for you. Sunday night football. Oh, Sunday night. Lions taking on the Chiefs. Tons of storylines to dive into. We'll have Nat's notes. We'll have the coach's corner with the 20-year NFL vet Bradford Banta. And special guest Zach Clark is going to join us. He hosts the Fourth Down in the Motor City podcast. We're looking forward to that. But before we go any further, today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. It's a Prize Picks Thursday. Download the Prize Picks app today and use that code LOCKDOWNNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. So guys, squad, so much to look forward to, so much to dive into for this Sunday night matchup. We got to look at the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football, back and forth game with Jacksonville. And on a short week after a tough loss, you know they'll be looking to bounce back. Nat, I kick it to you first. Your initial thoughts on this Sunday Night Football matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, Lions and Chiefs. I mean, gosh, it's been since 2023 that the Lions have faced this Chiefs team, and it's a very different looking Chiefs team than the last time these two guys faced each other. And it's also a different Lions team, right? The Lions walked into Arrowhead and beat them and made a huge statement win that first week one game back in 2023. Since then, the Chiefs this year have not been the same group. They've lost a lot of key players. They lost a guy like Tyreek Hill. They have some injuries that they're battling. You know, Chris Jones, their all-pro, has not looked the same and has had a quiet start to the season. Patrick Mahomes, though, is still Patrick Mahomes. And that's a guy that they got to plan around going into Sunday night. And that's who they have to game plan around. So it's not, although their record doesn't reflect it, and losing to Jacksonville makes you think, oh, this really isn't the same Chiefs sort of team. You're still going to deal with a guy like number 15 under center. And so it's, you know, you're in prime time, the big lights, and the Lions have to keep going what they've built on through these first 5 weeks of the season. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I tell you, man, I know there's going to be a ton of extra preparation going into this game because the Lions know what they were walking into. They were fortunate to get a road victory from Cincinnati last weekend. And then the Chiefs playing on a short week, doing a little bit of research before. And if I'm not mistaken, Andy Reid is slightly above 500 on coming off of short weeks for his career. But I don't know how many times his teams have been in this position or this type of record going into a short week and then preparing for a team like the Detroit Lions coming into Arrowhead on Sunday night. So it'll be interesting to me if Andy is stoking the fire a little bit of some of his big time players. And because I know Dan is, and these guys, the Lions will be ready. And I know the Chiefs will be ready. And Arrowhead is going to be rocking. So the representation of Lions Nation, that one pride, is going to be representing at Arrowhead as well. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
For sure. And the Lions faithful were loud and proud in Cincinnati this past Sunday. I saw tons of photos, tons of video. And Bradford, I'm curious your opinion as a former coach, because my late pops used to talk about this all the time at Northwood. He'd rather play a team after a big win, because all of a sudden you start feeling pretty confident. You read the press clippings. I know they don't read newspapers anymore, but maybe a little bit more laxed in practice. But you face a team after a tough loss where their backs against the wall. I mean, I can just imagine this week for the Kansas City Chiefs, hyper focused, back against the wall, doing everything it takes to get a victory in this game. So you're going to get the Chiefs' best shot.
You couldn't have said it any. I couldn't have said it any better myself, Jake. Kansas City is in a must-win situation, and you can say it's early in the season. They're going into Game 6, but every week is a must-win situation because you want to position yourself for the playoffs to get that home field advantage. Right now, the Chiefs are not getting it done. They know that. They've been to the Super Bowl. Last 4 years? Somebody draw on my head.
You sound right. I know.
Yeah. So, but okay, let's just run with it. Just run with it. Say they went the last 4 years, but
3 or 4 for sure.
Exactly. And they've been highly successful the past 4 years. Let's just say that. This is not up to their expectations, and they want more. What a better game than to catapult themselves into a better position moving forward in the 2025 season than beating the Detroit Lions on a national stage on Sunday night. That is what is going through each and every one of the players, coaches, and staff. I guess I just should have said the organization's mind. And that's going to be their mindset, saying we have a home game and we have to perform to our capabilities. Now, we saw what Xavier Worthy brought to that team because he's been out a majority of the season. He is going to be an X factor in this game, and it all depends on how the Detroit Lions are going to defend him.
Absolutely, which is a good reminder for everybody to say hello in the comments. I forgot to get to that, but yeah, we're live right now. So anybody wants to say hello, go ahead and do so in the comments. We love reading those, and we'll throw some up on the screen as we go along. But Nat, I cut you off. My apologies. The floor is yours.
No, you're good. I mean, I'm right there with you. This Kansas City Chiefs team, they do have a lot to prove, and being back at home, this is their chance to, redeem themselves coming off of a loss to Jacksonville where, Jacksonville is a team that has struggled mightily for quite some time. So to have a loss against them and for Kansas City to start the season the way they have, you've seen Andy Reid getting some tiffs with Travis Kelce publicly on the sideline. Like there's been some drama that we've seen with this group, and it doesn't look like things are meshing. And so even behind the scenes, it just looks like the wheels aren't turning the right way for this group. So the Lions have a chance to go in there and keep the wheels off the tracks, I guess, in a way. Kansas City just seems like things aren't as well as oiled of a machine as it's been. And so the Lions just have an opportunity to continue dominating. And there's a reason they are sitting at the top of the league right now. Like the NFL graded them as number 1 this week. Like they are sitting at the top, and they have a chance to stay there. So just echoing everything you just said, Bradford, this is the best position for them to be in. So got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the Chiefs already, and why not? I mean, that's the primetime matchup and everything else. But this Lions team, and Nat, you were alluding to it just now, especially on the defensive side, and albeit it's Jake Browning and the Bengals, they went out and signed Joe Flacco. That's how bad it got. But I'm certainly not taking, which no disrespect to Joe Flacco. I mean, that's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But I'm not taking a victory lap by any means, but I'm certainly of the belief that this defense is gaining a lot of confidence, and it shows in forcing 3 turnovers and really controlling that game until they left the foot off the gas pedal a little bit late in that fourth quarter after, the Lions led 28-3 and whatnot. But Bradford, how much, and forgive me if I'm going in a different direction, but don't you think that defense is really starting to hit their stride?
The defense is really starting to hit their stride. I agree with you. With the front 7, my concern is the back 4/5 whenever they're in nickel. Whenever they're in base, obviously 4. But anyway, I will get into that later. But they are – look, the rushers are rushing, and we'll get into the X's and O's in segment 3, I believe. But they're going to have to pressure Mahomes and truly make him make bad decisions, force him into bad throws. So they're going to try to, I'm jumping ahead. I want to get back to your original question. So I just get a little sidetracked here, but no.
Coach is getting into it already. I don't blame him.
I know. So
right up his game plan.
yeah. So defensively, the linebackers, I said it in the post-game show, the linebackers are playing the best ball that they've played. The front 4, a concern of mine is still not having an opposite side edge rusher. And I know Muhammad's doing an admirable job, but he's just not a red or a blue chip type player. And then you can see the movements, which we'll go over in Nat's notes, that they've had in the defensive backfield this past week in trying to remedy a situation that they need to address, and they are taking actions to address these problems that they are foreseeing that could come down the road.
No doubt. And we will get into it on the Coach's Corner and Nat's notes. So plenty of reason to stick around, which you should always stick around. But saying hello to some people just joining us and hopping on. John Smith says, good morning, gang. We've got Colin Evans saying first time tuning in live. Here we go. I believe David says he's going to Arrowhead. That's awesome. So we want to hear all about everybody's trips and experiences on the road. As Bradford mentioned, One Pride showing out. But let's take a quick time out, because on the other side of this break, we've got a special guest, the host of the Fourth Down in the Motor City podcast. You hear him on WWJ as well, the sister station of the Lions Radio Network 97.1 The Ticket. Former friend and coworker, no, not former friend, current friend, former coworker, current friend. Thankfully, he's probably not listening yet, but he's about to hop on, Zach Clark. So as much as I butchered that tease, Zach Clark is on the other side. Don't go anywhere. It's the Locked On Lions Squad Show right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Hey, today's episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. And guess what? The NFL is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You just pick a bet. You put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. How about that? I love me some same game parlays, and maybe, you know what I always say, life's too short to bet the under. So hit that over, and the live lines during games just adds a little bit more excitement to the viewing experience when you know you're all in on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. $5 if you win, $300 in bonus bets. It all happens at FanDuel. Cruising right along on a live Locked On Lions Squad Show. I'm sure I offended Zach with my former friend comment. So I did get confirmation he is on his way, if you will. And maybe he'll be tuning in live from his vehicle the same way Jeff Rieger was a couple episodes ago, which, you never know what you're going to get on a live Locked On Lions Squad Show. That's why we do it live.
That's why we do it live. I don't know. I still think we got to give Jeff crap about that forever and ever. He can't live that down. I don't know if it can get worse than sitting in the car.
That was a brutal appearance. But at the same time, hey, he provided some great insight. He went through every single element of the game plan in one answer, and then we had the next 45
2 additional segments. Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. Talking his whole way through every single question, and then by the time we actually got to talk, he already answered everything we needed to know.
For sure. But while we're waiting for Zach to join, which, by the way, check out the Fourth Down in the Motor City podcast. It's great insight, but at the same time, it's hilarious because if you know Zach Clark, he brings a good sense of humor to it all as well. It's not the talking, shouting heads on ESPN that you hear from time to time. It's actual real human conversation and good stuff there. But we got a couple of minutes here, so let's mix in some more comments. And as I say, we had a couple of minutes. We're right on time. We got Zach Clark joining the Locked On Lions Squad show, the host of the Fourth Down in the Motor City podcast and WWJ's own. Zach Clark joins the show, my friend. How are you? I hope you weren't listening before because I meant to say former colleague, but I said former friend. We're still best friends, right?
Man, I'm about to walk out and leave right now. Like, I can we get roasted? I had no idea.
No.
What's up, y'all?
We will leave the roasting. We will leave the roasting to Rieger because Rieger hopped on a few weeks ago and was live from his automobile. You are an adult. You've got a microphone. You've got a studio, and you are ready to bring the action. Which, again, it's not that hard to beat Rieger.
You ever play golf with that guy? It's ridiculous.
Fun story. Not actually that fun at all. Almost lost my life playing golf with Jeff Rieger because he slammed his club and it broke and the head went flying, spiraling towards me. And it was just not good for anybody.
Say no more.
But Zach, what's going on, man? I know you've been hosting the Fourth Down in the Motor City podcast. On our Locked On Lions Squad show, we just love to rap about the Lions and 4-1, and a lot of people having this team as the number one team on their power rankings. Life's pretty good as a Lions fan.
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure if I'd have them number one on my power rankings at the moment, but they're in that group discussion where, I think there's a huge group of 4-1 right now that you could probably talk about. But, the way the Lions bounced back after week 1 and the things we've seen in progress. Now, the Terry and Arnold thing seemed to be a step back. Now we're not sure. Right, it seems like it's not going to be as bad as we thought, which is a huge boost. We'll see how Amik handles the speed this week, but I'm looking forward to what's going on this weekend. And you're right, it has been an absolute blast this season so far.
No doubt. I guess, listen, I don't want to make this feel like an interview by any means, but we've been kind of going roundtable discussion on just your initial thoughts with the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes at the top of the list. You've got a Chiefs team that lost on Monday Night Football, but at the same time, a team that's probably back against the wall, desperate mentality. And Andy Reid, even on a short week, usually with his teams back against the wall, that's a pretty tough proposition.
Yeah, and I think, look, they're like a viper. Right, that's what freaks me out about the Kansas City Chiefs is you've put them in this corner, like you just said, and that's absolutely correct. And how are they going to respond? They still have some of the weapons. To me, what's interesting about them is for so long they leaned offensively, and they still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have talent, but now to me, it's a little more rooted in their defense and what they're able to accomplish with Chris Smith in the middle and their secondary, and the combination of those two things is dangerous. But I mean, you watch the way that Jacksonville game finished. It was like the stumble bum, but not on purpose, and didn't throw it. I've never seen a finish quite like that. And so people have asked me if I think it was better or worse if the team loses in front of them. And Bradford, you could talk more about this than I can, but I'm not sure how much it matters. Every game counts and every game is individual. So I'm not sure what that game means going forward for the Chiefs, but they've had just a bizarre season, and the same can be said with teams like the Ravens too. I mean, that matchup, were they 1-3 at the time? I mean, both of them unbelievable.
No, I would say that you talk about the stumble bum, and then we had the our defensive players reenacted it for the for the Chicago game whenever Jared Goff did this.
We're getting an echo somewhere. We're all over. Surround sound.
Okay.
I have no echo, but I believe you.
Yeah.
Is anybody else getting an echo?
Yeah.
I hear it now.
All right. What are we gonna do here? We'll do a lot.
Well, here,
Well,
let
it
me.
is October.
I can switch my audio to the. How about that?
Yeah, we're good now.
Because that's weird. Because now you're coming out of my speakers, not my headset, which should create the reverb, but it's not. Technology.
Hey, that's the thing about doing it live. We got.
There you go.
Well, whatever. We're making it work.
Yeah. No.
Shout out to the StreamYard, and when the lockdown audit comes through, I'm just gonna tell them they're crazy. I don't know what they're talking about. What technology issues? And we will all die on that same hill together. But if you can still kind of, let's get back to what we were saying.
Bradford was talking about the winning or losing ahead of time.
Yeah, you were talking. You're talking about the stumble bum play, and it kind of reminded me. Was it last year? Whenever Goff kind of stumbled.
Yes.
In the playoff game, and they had the reenactment. The defensive players reenacted it after a turnover versus Chicago. But I told the guys on Sunday that a win is a win is a win, and any way, shape, or form you can get it in the NFL, you take it, and then you go back on Monday, and then you learn from it, and then proceed from there. Now, much to the dismay of the Kansas City Chiefs, they lost that game versus Jacksonville. And it was a tough loss for them to handle. They just, you look at Chris Jones on that final play, and you're like, what are you doing? He's just standing there. Did he think that the play was dead? I don't know. Has anybody asked him that question? I'm not sure. I did not research it that much to find out if somebody asked him that question, but he was just standing there, and he could have put himself in position to make the play on Trevor Lawrence, but he didn't. And Trevor Lawrence did the best that he could do. He got up, found an open spot, and went for the end zone, and he got it just for the win.
Slowest touchdown in history. I've never seen somebody develop so slowly. Seriously.
No, what I do love that comment though, and I think it's funny because Zach and I were texting earlier this week, or it might have been the old slide into the Instagram DMs because I saw, no doubt, I saw the clip that you posted just about kind of on that same wavelength, and Nat and I post game initially both had the same reaction against Cincinnati, where all of a sudden you're like, this is a game you're up 28-3, you let a lowly Bengals team kind of get not back into it, but Bradford had to give us a little coach talk, which we deserve sometimes, that, hey, a win is a win is a win. But ZC, you and I were kind of on the same page where, like, yes, a win is a win is a win. And we love a nice, healthy discussion and embrace debate here a little bit. But there were some things that you saw in that second half that Dan Campbell and the rest of this coaching staff can point to and say, hey, this isn't going to fly against the Kansas City Chiefs team on Sunday Night Football.
Well, yeah, look at the Philadelphia Eagles 2 weeks ago. They were terrible in the second half, and people said, nah, it's fine. What happened the next week? Did they win? They did not. And so you can't let that kind of stuff carry over. Bradford's right. I think two things can be true here in the moment, that a win is a win. You're there to do one thing. There's no style points. Everyone is worth one, right? But I remember being told years ago, it's easier to coach after a loss because players are more receptive. If they are winning here, who's listening, right? We won, coach. What do you want? And so I want there to be able to take that kind of mentality, even though they won the game, that there are things to improve upon and do those things. And I believe they will. That was my whole point. It wasn't a call out. It was just, I'm not everything was perfect on Sunday, and that's okay if they fix it next week. That was my point.
Now, Zach, with this Lions organization, everyone always says this team really struggles against mobile quarterbacks. Well, what they were able to do just a couple of weeks ago against the Ravens, walking into Baltimore and doing what they did, containing Lamar Jackson, sacking him, 7 times, that recipe ended up being really successful for that group. Now walking into Arrowhead against yet another mobile quarterback, do you use that same recipe, using a spy, everything that worked really well for this Lions group? Do you see it that same way? or how do you gain some sort of defensive leverage against this group? What do you see in your eyes?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And they did really struggle in years past against a mobile quarterback. And I think Hutchinson said this about a month ago. These days, they're all mobile, except for his guy, right? So you're seeing mobile quarterbacks every week. Now, they're not all Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying that. But it's not as much of a novelty as it used to be. When I was at Arizona, Rich Rod ran the no huddle. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Nobody huddles anymore. Things change. And so, but I do think something that Dan Campbell said yesterday is you have to make adjustments, right? And they will have to do some of the things they did with the spy, like you said. But you got to stay true to who you are. You can't go away from things like man coverage. It's who you are. And as soon as you change your identity, then who are you, right? I made the point, I think, yesterday that it's like driving on the snow in Michigan. You got to adjust. But as soon as you overcorrect, you're in the ditch. And I don't think the Lions are going to do that. And that's one of the things, though, that I think Dan Campbell was making the point of, like, look, we're going to do some things that are different. Winning football games is about making the right adjustments. But we are who we are, and you're going to see the same thing, 17 times and hopefully more.
Looking forward to that. ZC, I'll get you out the door on this one. Not only do I enjoy listening to the Fourth Down in the Motor City podcast, but the watch party vids that you put out there, one, always make me hungry and thirsty for that matter. But two, love the coverage on the creative side of things. And any big plans for a Sunday night watch party?
Yeah, so yes and no. I've been told that you can't take children to the bar. And so I've got back on Sunday night, and so I'm not
back down. Hey, you got to go to Louisiana if you want to do that. So,
well, no, and that's the thing. Don't tempt me, Bradford. I lived in Arkansas for a while. I know how that stuff works, and it's very.
But you got exposed to northern Louisiana. You go down to southern Louisiana below Alexandria. So that's when.
I'll tell you what, though, I was in Alexandria about a couple months ago, and that's a very interesting place. I was there for work. So what we're going to do this week, Beck and I will hang out. I'll get some cold snacks. We'll get some pizza and some, child snacks, and we'll have some fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Good deal, man. Hey, appreciate you hopping on. This has been awesome. Apologies for the technical difficulties. We've already fired our producer, which coincidentally is me. So I am fired, but hey, keep killing the game on social media and Fourth Down in the Motor City, WWJ. And am I missing anything else?
No, I think you got it, man.
All right, brother. There he goes. Zach Clark joining us on the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. We've got Nat's notes coming up next. Nat, what do we got going?
We got injuries, call-ups, roster moves, and a little trivia. So stick around after the break.
I love it. I love it. Nat's notes is next. Hey, today's Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's so frustrating, and that's why I use Game Time. It's the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the best part of the app. There's no doubt about it. You see the price, and that's what you pay. All the other apps that I won't name by names, but you know what those apps are. You think you're getting a great deal, you go to checkout, and fee. Nope, not on Game Time. The price you see is the price you pay. Plus, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any of those other apps and any way I've ever bought tickets ever in the history of the world. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKDOWNNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, that's promo code LOCKDOWNNFL, LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe. I don't know why they put that in at the end. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. It's a tongue twister. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app and use that promo code LOCKDOWNNFL. Locked On Lions Squad Show. The highlight of the program, bar none. It's Nat's notes. What's happening?
Ooh, I don't know if I'd call it the highlight, but we're going to try and make it as fun as possible, people. So that's what we do here. We try and make this show fun and enjoyable. So, Nat's notes. All right, everybody, are we ready?
We're
ready.
ready.
We're going to go through some injuries, some updates, all the good things for this week. Some good, some bad. So, let's just start with some updates on Detroit side of things. As far as injuries go, so as we know, the secondary depth is being tested right now. As far as cornerback health, Terrion Arnold has been the biggest piece of news that has come out this week. He did not practice yesterday with a shoulder injury, but he was not placed on injured reserve. A second opinion did come in, so the injury isn't as bad as originally feared. It's possible he could come back as early as this month, but no one knows for sure. So there were already some mixed opinions on his play as it was. So, looking at as far as who is going to take his spot in the meantime, planning for Amik Robertson, Rock Yassin, Avante Maddox getting some snaps. The Lions signed Arthur Millette to the practice squad, and he is a nickel insurance policy as well. So I guess my first question with this that I'll throw out to you guys, if Xavier Worthy is good to go for the Chiefs on Sunday, he obviously – he's got, his 4.2 speed is obviously something that's really hard to keep up with. Since Terrion Arnold is not good to go as of right now and won't be this Sunday and might not be for a while, who is your ideal matchup answer for a guy like Xavier Worthy when you look at what the Lions do have available right now as far as their cornerback depth? Whoever wants to take the floor right now.
Yeah, I'll take it. What the heck? So I honestly think that that the Lions, to keep up with that consistent 4.2 speed from Xavier Worthy. So do they have anybody in the defensive backfield that can run 4.2? No. How do you combat that? So you kind of got to be like water. And what I mean by that analysis is you just always got to be there. And water always finds a way to be annoying, whether it's in your basement and you get some flooding or, just something. Water's going to find a way to work its way into the cracks and crevices. And how do they do that? They do it by playing more than one defensive back on Xavier Worthy. And they do it they platoon him in. Okay, you know what? You get him for 2 downs. Hey, you take over for another 2 downs. Hey, you take over. So that way he can't get a bead on how that particular player is playing him. And you also have fresh players going up against Xavier Worthy, because that 4.2, if you run it time and time again, it's going to start to slow down after a period of time. But if you keep fresh legs on him the entire time, then that player that runs let's just say 4.5, all the players that you put on Xavier Worthy run a 4.5, then they're going to run a consistent 4.5 the entire game. So it's going to be more than one player that takes on Xavier Worthy and hopefully puts a cap on his abilities to make big plays. Then you can also bracket him. So they're going to mix in a couple of those few things. But I personally think that is what the Lions should do. And I'm curious to see how they're going to defense Xavier Worthy.
100%. I'd also add, and I think this is stealing what just about every single defensive coordinator would tell you, making a team one-dimensional is crucial. And the Chiefs have been one-dimensional up until this point. How do I know? I've got Isaiah Pacheco on one fantasy team, Kareem Hunt on the other fantasy team, and neither one of them done anything. And not that anybody cares about my fantasy team, but Patrick Mahomes has been the leading rusher for this Chiefs team in their last 4 games, I believe. And anytime, again, this is not a Lions Chiefs thing. This is just a football thing at any level. An offense is one-dimensional. It just adds so much pressure on that dimension of the football. So in this case, the Chiefs passing game, and it adds an element of predictability for the Lions to key in on defensively that, hey, if this team's going to beat us, it's going to be through the pass game. So obviously that's not, the lack of rushing attack is not new news for the Kansas City Chiefs and for that matter, Kelvin Shepherd and this Detroit Lions team. But certainly I'll have my eyes on, can the Lions continue to make the Chiefs be one-dimensional?
That's such a good point, and one that I was going to bring up too if you didn't. And I feel bad for both of your fantasy teams if you have both of those running backs, Jake. So hopefully you have other players that are making it up in other ways for you, buddy.
I got David Montgomery, so he single-handedly won the game for me that Monday night against the Ravens. But again, nobody cares about my fantasy football team, so let me just keep telling you all about it.
Well, okay, we'll just keep the train moving here. So in other news, as far as injuries go, to keep it going with the cornerback room, Khalil Dorsey was placed on IR with a wrist injury. So he is forced to miss the next 4 weeks at a minimum. And taking his spot on the 53-man roster is the fan favorite, Dan Skipper. Skip is back, guys. He is back on the roster, which of course helps if Taylor Decker is limited, which we have seen he has been during the week. We saw Giovanni Manu had to step in last week, which was a very up and down debut for him. And that's probably a nice way to put it. So, for Skip, he's been on the practice squad since the start of the season. He's been the team's backup swing tackle and was initially beat out by Jamarco Jones and Giovanni Manu. So for him, he's been someone that's just, he's reliable, good leader, good vet, as we harped on this summer going through training camp. Like, he's a guy that we thought would make the team, and it was a bit of a shock when he didn't. So it's interesting because Dan Campbell said on Sunday, we're going to look at everything here in regard to the left tackle position. We're going to look at Skip. We'll see where Decker is at. And we brought in Devin Cochran from the practice squad. So we want to play this smart. So I guess I'll just start with you, Jake. Having Skipper now on the 53-man, based on what you saw out of Manu on Sunday, do you throw him in again? Do you go Skip? Like, how do you bully Chris Jones and the rest of KC's defensive front?
Well, first and foremost, I think I know who I'm picking up for my fantasy team. It's Skip, because obviously some kind of trickery and a touchdown pass is in his near future, and that'd be way more valuable than Isaiah Pacheco. But no, it was kind of an up and down debut, not debut, that's the wrong word for it, but prominent role for Manu. And I'm a big component of let's pump the brakes. You're not, just like in broadcasting, you're not as good as your best show. You're not as bad as your worst show. And I think that it can be the exact same in this sentiment here, that we'll continue to evaluate the progression there. But at the same time, I love the idea of a guy that's been there, done that, the continuity, the chemistry, the communication, all of those factors that are so important with offensive line play. And I don't think you miss a beat having Skip step in right away. Now, you mentioned Chris Jones. Obviously, hands are full with this Chiefs defense that has been the strength of their team, even though the headliners are and will always be Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and his girlfriend, fiance, wife. I'm blanking on her name right now. But make no mistake about it, the strength of this Chiefs team is their defense. And so I like the continuity factor for Skip. Bradford.
Yeah, I see it just a little bit differently, Jake. Nat, as far as Skip starting, I don't see him starting. I still see Manu starting, but I see them inserting Skip in 6 O-lineman type formations to assist Manu or anybody else with pass protection, and then occasionally slipping him out to possibly release on a route, and then definitely using him on the run game. That's how I see them using Skip this week. And because they elevated him for a reason, and he will be effective. He will not get a DNP, which means did not play. He will play in this game.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with the DNPs. Got plenty of those in my college career. Thank you.
Just clarifying for our listening and watching audience out there. Okay. So,
one career interception. Don't forget.
There you go. I like it. Very good.
Put that at the top of the resume.
That's right.
Hey, we got some comments coming in though that agree. Let's bring in Rick's. Yeah, I was gonna say he's right there with you, Bradford.
Yeah,
Manu
I like it.
will get the start, skip his insurance, and an extra when needed. Manu needs the reps. And then I'm going to guess this comment was after you were talking, Bradford. Definitely not me, but a nice exactly with some exclamation points. So,
But we'll go back to the beginning of the season whenever they were trying to figure out the 53-man roster. There's a reason they chose Manu over Skip. And because they saw, the future. And they wanted to get him reps, and he, hey, what a better way to get reps than just getting thrown directly into the fire, and that's what he did. And is he going to learn from it? I say yes. Is he going to learn quickly? I say yes. The reason I say that is I go back to, and you're talking about two totally different players, is you have Tate Ratledge at right guard. And you look at the improvement from the Green Bay game to the second game of the season, it was greatly improved. Now, we're talking about two totally different positions, meaning right guard and left tackle, because at left tackle, you're going to be left on an island a heck of a lot more than you are at the right guard position. And that's where protection, where Fraley, I think, is going to do an excellent job, and Johnny Morton are going to do an excellent job of trying to assist Manu with the protection via either, double teams with the guards or with the guard, or with the tight end coming over, i.e. possibly Dan Skipper, or the running back releasing on a check down route. So, they're going to shore it up. I can tell you that right now, because they do not want to, meaning the organization does not want to see Jared Goff on the ground. They want to keep him as clean as possible.
And that's how I'm going to end it, is a question about Jared Goff, because he has been really consistent, you guys. It's a perfect segue, Bradford. We didn't even plan it this way. Okay.
Nice.
He's been so consistent, okay? Just going off of Sunday's performance, he completed 19 of 23 passes for 258 yards and 3 touchdowns. He came into that game completing 73.8% of his passes, which is second best in the NFL. So I want to put this in perspective for you guys. Here's the question I'm going to. Here is how good he has been playing to start the season. Here's the question. The only quarterbacks in history to complete 75% of their passes, throw for 12 plus touchdowns, and a total passer rating of 120 plus through the first 5 games of any season are Jared Goff right now, this season, and which Hall of Famer? So I know that's a lot of numbers I just threw at you. So so far what we've seen from Jared Goff, 75, completing 75% of their passes, throwing for 12 plus touchdowns so far, and a total passer rating of 120 plus through 5 games. What other quarterback in history has had that through the first 5 games to start a season?
I have a guess, but I don't want to be wrong, because I think I heard somebody talking about this. But Bradford, I very much is just a guess, but I'm here for any and all Jared Goff conversations and comparisons, because he's my GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Otto Graham.
And I want you both to guess, and then
That was not my guess.
They didn't even have passer ratings out there. I think the forward pass was invented whenever he was playing.
Yeah. I'm inclined to say Peyton Manning, just because I feel like they're the same type of quarterbacks where they diagnose things, and it's truly a breath of fresh air where, they're calling different plays at the line. They're pocket passers with the accuracy. So because I believe Jared Goff is the next second coming of Peyton Manning, I'll say Peyton Manning.
Okay, that's your guess. Can I ask a couple questions in that?
Sure.
Is it post 2000? This
Yep.
quarterback? Yes. Who? First 5 games. Hall of Fame quarterback. So I'll just say Brady. I'll say Brady.
Okay.
In their undefeated season. whenever they had. Yeah. So
All
who you
right.
got?
We have a winner, Mr. Jake Riepma. It's Peyton Manning.
Hey, all right.
There we
Back
go.
in 2013.
I love it. I had a couple other random guesses, not that I'm hijacking your segment here, but I was thinking too, like who got off to one of the fastest starts in history. I feel like Donovan McNabb had some really hot starts with the Eagles, and Dante Culpepper with the Vikings were the other two in my head for some reason, but I'm glad I went with my gut.
Yeah.
What's my prize?
You know what? We got to think. Hey, didn't we need a
Thumbs
bell? Didn't we talk about this the other week? We needed something to celebrate, but we didn't talk about prizes. So
I'll steal. We got a bunch of them at the radio station. I'll steal one and go ding, 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 ding. And that's also how we'll end every single segment. It'll be in the middle. Everyone will be in the middle of talking and just ding, 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 ding. You're off.
Hey, if this trivia part is going to be consistent, we will have to come up with some sort of prize. So
I like that. We can get the list. Yeah, we can get the listeners involved. Everybody. It's just we're workshopping this on the fly. I love it.
Can I just bring up a point?
Yeah.
Do you realize that we have gone 45 minutes right now, and we have probably spent a minute and a half talking about the Lions offense? Do you realize that? We've talked KC defense and we've talked Lions defense the entire time and trying to take care of KC's offense.
And some Jared Goff chatter in there as well.
That's what I'm saying, about a minute and a half.
Are you trying to get me fired? Are you trying to get
No,
us all fired?
not at all. Hey, I'm
what?
saying our show is rolling.
Well, you know what? Let's grab the chalkboard. What is the blueprint for segment 4, Coach Banta? Let's talk about the Lions offense. What do they got to do on Sunday? How about that?
Well, that was my whip around.
Segment.
Yeah. So no, but I just say, look.
Good point, though. We really haven't talked about it, but we have been rolling on everything else.
Yeah. No, which is great. So the rosters are getting sorted out. They're aiming to pick their 48 that they want to roll into the game with. Look, the Lions are going to be traveling on Saturday. Chiefs are sleeping at home on Saturday night, and then we play on Sunday. Can't wait to talk with you about it the next segment.
Let's do it. Coach's Corner is next on the Locked On Lions Squad Show. This episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by our good friends at Mazda. That's right. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety picks awards than anybody else. And that's of August 2025. So very recent. And I'm talking from footwork to breathwork. Athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every single model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. I love the Napa leather upholstery. It's my favorite. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every single detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. I mean, what a way to start your segment. The coaches.
You got to get some. Yeah, you got to get some voiceover work in there, pal. So I would. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I know. I know. Look, I know what commercials I would hire you for. So one's going to be Mazda, and I think was it 2 shows ago.
No, we're not doing that.
No.
Oh man, I am ready to forfeit the responsibility of the reads. But hey, we kick it to you because this is another highlight of the program for some X's and O's chalk talk.
Yeah, look, Kansas City has to play a clean game. They killed themselves last game versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville won the hidden yardage game just via the penalties. And that is what severely limited Kansas City, and it did not allow them to win the game. On the flip side of that, Detroit is coming off a game where all three phases played a pretty doggone clean game. And how I kind of judge that, guys, is just, you're going to have the holds, you're going to have the occasional DPI or defensive holding. That's kind of understood. The thing that drives me nuts as a coach is just the one, and speaking from a special teams perspective, is the special teams penalties that can be easily avoided. And I'm talking about the blocks in the back and the holdings. Those can be easily avoided. The other one is the pre-snap and post-snap penalties. If the Lions in all three phases can avoid those type of penalties, you're gonna see the Lions win. And then on Kansas City, they have to get their special teams going. And if Lion can put a cap on that bottle to prevent their return game from happening, then the Lions will see this through to the end. Defensively, since we're kind of on a defensive theme here, it's and just with the mobility of Patrick Mahomes, everybody's talking about going back to the similar game plan as the Baltimore Ravens. Well, I'm going to go back to that as well. And we're going to talk about cliff. Don't fall off the cliff. Do not rush past the quarterback, meaning Patrick Mahomes. That way you do not give him lanes to release and make off-schedule throws. How do we make this happen? Well, it starts in the middle and getting that interior rush to make sure that those guys feel the pressure and make sure 15 feels the pressure, and it makes him panic a little bit. If you want him to scramble, you want him to lose yardage to try to get outside of the pocket. And then once the edge rushers see him trying to lose yardage and exit outside the pocket, that's when you strike. And we're talking about the big comment here by some of the people as well is talking about the spy, and we're spying Patrick Mahomes. You got to be useful with that on the defensive side of the ball, in the sense that he has to be effective and he can't just take up space. So if where do you want to position him? Do you want him to be aggressive, or do you want him to be passive? And being aggressive, that means he's getting up into or near Mahomes and waiting for him to try to exit. If he's passive, you have him drop back in coverage with an eye on Mahomes and Mahomes only, not looking for other receivers. And then whenever he exits the pocket, then that's when he has that particular player who is spying him has an all-out green light to go and just light Mahomes up. And don't allow him near the sidelines, because that's where he's going to try his antics and try to draw the foul and all the other kind of stuff that has been well publicized throughout the last 4 years. And then, so time to talk. Let's talk offense. And, hey, it's establish the run game and let the big guys eat in the trenches. You have a little bit of a smaller defensive front with the exception of Chris Jones. So how do you combat that? Don't run at him. That's the way I kind of figure it out. But just keep leaning on him. Just keep leaning on that defensive front. Let your backs with Gibbs and Monty do the work. And just running the duo plays, which they are so successful at, and just running the outside zone, letting Gibbs take advantage of the creases that are made by the offensive line and Dan Skipper whenever they put him in the game for that 6 offensive lineman. That is going to be key. And then once you get that established, that is whenever you start in with the play action. And I think that Jahmyr is going to be a factor in this game, because the Lions are going to come in and establish a run, and then they're going to hit that play action. And then I look for a big play out of Jahmyr. I'm calling it right now. I'd say somewhere around middle of the second quarter. That once that play action, or once the inside run in the outside zone starts to take place, you're going to see the safeties are going to be uber aggressive, and then it's going to be two ships passing in the night, and Jahmyr is going to be streaking down the field, and Jared's going to have a clean throwing lane. He's going to find him and then hit him over the top. I'm calling it right now. Middle of the second. We got it on tape. We're taping this segment, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're putting this with our predictions.
Yeah, there you go. I was just going to say that's a perfect segue into some predictions here for the last couple of minutes. But no, I love that. And I also think, too, I'm guilty of this sometimes, watching the Lions rushing attack with how explosive Gibbs is, and in a different way, Montgomery, where it's like they get 5 yards a pop, and that's really effective. And you know, as a fan, you're like, all right, when are they going to break the big one? When are they going to? But 5 yards a pop, leaning on them, it's so crucial. And I think this is a really good comment here from Rick C about the ball control component of it all, where you make Patrick Mahomes and that offense a spectator by just chewing up yards and getting first down after first down. So Rick C, if you're listening on the audio version, Gibbs and Monty are our best defense in this game. Make Pat a spectator. I love it.
Yeah, let's see. And then he just said, too, Chris Jones is going to be on Manu's side on every snap. He'll definitely need plenty of help. Yep, for sure.
That's where Skip comes into play.
Scheme it up.
If that's something they learned from last week, too, yes, Manu is going to need some help as well. Got to protect Jared Goff. Have to keep him safe in the pocket. So, getting to our score predictions, I'm anxious to hear what you guys think.
Well, hold on. We got to revisit. We got to revisit last week's score predictions.
Yeah, we do have to always start with that,
because I was so certain that I had this one right. I had 28-9. It was 28-3. I texted you guys. And I was like, yeah, we could be close. And then Jake Browning just caught lightning in a bottle and discovered how to play quarterback. And we know 28-9 was not the final. Nat, you had 31-10.
Yeah.
So had the nod with the offense there, only 6 points off. BB 31-30, nice and consistent. Hey, we were all in the right side of the win-loss column, and that's what's most important. So this week, Lions, Chiefs, Sunday Night Football. Who wants to lead off with the score prediction? I've seen some in the chat, by the way. We appreciate those comments coming in of your score predictions as well.
We'll let the Rose please proceed.
I was going to say, well, I already know yours, Bradford. Yours
I know, mine's boring.
You're boring. You're not switching it up.
Hey,
one of these weeks, though, you might be right on the money, which will be hilarious. I'm going to go. Let's see. I'm going to go 28-24 Lions.
I like it. 28-24.
Mm-hmm.
BB, are you sticking with the...
Oh, yeah. 31-30.
31-30.
Lions.
It'd be one thing,
man.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if it was like, I mean, 30 is just an odd number for a team to have. Like, what are we talking? 4 touchdowns and a safety? Or
no,
I mean,
you got 3 field goals.
3 field. Oh, all right.
Duh, how'd you not know that, Jake?
Yeah, so what would that be? 3 math is not my strength, obviously. I don't have very many strengths. That 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to go similar to Nat, Price is Right style, though. I think both teams just get one more touchdown. So I'll go Lions 35, Chiefs 31.
Mm.
So we're all kind of on the same boat here. We all like the Lions in a close game.
Yes, I think it's definitely going to be a close game. I think it's going to be another statement game by the Detroit Lions if they come out of this victorious. And it's going to be a great game for the younger players to learn how to play in that type of environment and to be exposed to it. We played the Chiefs whenever I was in Indianapolis back in '95, and the majority of our squad had never played there. And it was a divisional playoff game, and it was cold as all get out. I believe it was -10 at kickoff, and like I said, a majority of us had never played there, but they sang the national anthem, and we didn't know what was coming because back then nobody told you. And instead of saying home of the brave, they say home of the Chiefs. And as soon as the crowd said that, you could just see our squad just get amped up and be like, oh yes, it is on. It was so awesome. It was awesome. And we won. So
I was just saying, was it on? You guys won?
Oh, we won. Yeah. Yeah. That was the year that Jim Harbaugh got the moniker Captain Comeback. So
that's awesome.
I don't know
That
if any
fires
of you
me up right now. I want this game to start immediately.
Oh man, it was great. Yeah. So.
How tough is it going to be Sunday to just, as the song says, waiting all day for Sunday night? But hey, we'll have our live post-game show for you. It'll be a late one, but we'll be ready to go. Bradford, Nat, final words. Bradford, Nat, final words on the Locked On Lions Squad show.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a clash of two teams. One that's trying to find its identity in the Kansas City Chiefs, and one, meaning the Detroit Lions, have found their identity, and now they know who they are. And can they carry this through until the end of the season?
Good way to put it, with looking at both identities. This is going to be, as the Lions continue to take what is a tough schedule for these guys. Sorry, the sun's kind of in my eyes here if you guys are watching on YouTube. They're taking this tough schedule, and each week they are knocking it down bit by bit, piece by piece. And if they can go into another tough, hostile environment and take this Chiefs team and do what they've been doing on the road already, they're just going to continue to build more confidence, despite the injuries that they're facing, despite, just everything that they've started to go through. It's the next man up mentality. It's the grit. It's all of that. I think if the Lions can make a statement win, even if it is close, they can get it done. It's just going to continue to propel them to great things. So I think they have a good game plan going, and I feel confident in the group.
I love it. For Bradford Banta and Natalie Kerwin, I am Jake Riepma. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like today's video. Go ahead and subscribe to Locked On Lions if you haven't already. Check out Locked On Lions with Matt Derry on the Daily Show, and we will have the live post-game show for you at the conclusion of Sunday Night Football. Also, we've got a little Tigers playoff action, so make sure you check out Locked On Tigers post-game show as well. Nat, I know you're a big Tigers fan as well. Bradford, are you a baseball guy? I know we're out of time here, but then typical me. Yeah, yes. Bringing up a question as we're out of time. But appreciate everybody tuning in. Go Lions, go Tigers. We'll talk to you next time on the Locked On Lions Squad Show.